call a big dam. That's what they used to flood the pond over here. For,
Oh, okay. Oh, that dam was.
to float the logs and stuff.
Okay.
And and so the fish would come up behind there, and I'd get, like, the big fish in spring of the year that spawned in there. Well, that was food on the table. And then afterwards, these minnows would run. And I carried minnows in the buckets from there. I had a dip net. I dipped out these minnows, and I put them in these buckets, and I ran with them as fast as I could go across to where old Spinny Carlin had his minnow farm. Pond, that would be right in here.
Way back.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That would be right in here is the pond.
Okay.
And it drains into Little Horsehead here.
Okay.
Well, this dam is way down here. So I would come here all across the mill, run along by the horse barns and blacksmith shop, come up over the hill by the company store, and go down here.
That's 2 miles, is it?
No, that's probably a good quarter of a mile.
Oh, okay. I don't have that distance right then.
And they all die.
With that short time.
Yeah. And I couldn't understand that. See, of course, I'm learning.
Right.
I never tempered them.
What does temper mean?
Well, you take them out of warm water, and in the spring water is cold.
Oh, okay.
It's just too much of a shock for them, and they just flip right over.
Okay.
The only thing that would actually survive would be sucker minnows.
Mm.
So how did you keep them from dying?
Well, after a while I learned. I wouldn't take so many at a time, and so they'd be in better shape when I got them there.
Okay.
And then I would dip the cold water into these
Slowly.
buckets, and then I took a coffee can and I put a screen over the top, and I used that to take the old water out. That was just all little things. You don't do that
Screen
today.
it out
'Cause
gradually.
You've got a lot better ways of doing that,
Mm-hmm.
And then I could add more cold water all the time. See, and then actually to really temper minnows, it takes about 20 to 24 hours.
Hmm.
But see, this was only like maybe 4 or 5 minutes. It would help,
Mm-hmm.
and the biggest share of them then would live.
Well, then did you sell them?
Yeah.
Sell them to fishermen?
Yeah, I sold them there. That was what you call soft bait. Like your shiners, your chubs, and your suckers. Now on the mud minnows, I had a couple ponds over here west of town. I hiked down the railroad grade, the old railroad grade, all the way down to those ponds,
Okay.
and they were right close to the ponds on the railroad grade. And my mother would always say, "Chester, you got to put on that straw hat," because it was hot.
She knew about skin cancer even then.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so.
Just heat stroke.
She just worried about a sunstroke or something.
Sure. Yeah.
So I go down there, I catch these. At first I had just on the dip net. So anyway, I made some money, so I bought a 6-foot seine, and I rolled it up on the sticks to about 4 feet. And I'd go on the bogs on these ponds over there, and I'd lay it down real easy, and I'd walk out there real easy, and I'd lay it down, and then I'd stomp on the bog, and then pick up the seine, and I'd probably have half a dozen to a dozen.
Half a dozen to a dozen what?
Mud minnows.
See, what's a mud minnow? Just
It's a minnow.
that lives in the mud.
But he lives. He comes up. He picks his oxygen out of the air. See, you don't have to have oxygen in the water.
Okay.
See, where your shiners and suckers and chubs, they get the oxygen out of the water.
Okay.
But this your old mudman, he comes up and he picks up a little air, and then he goes back down.
Okay.
And that is what, when I was real young, that's what I sold the most, because I sold them right off the front porch of the house. Of this
They
house
were the
that-
most valuable to the fishermen.
Yeah. And it would keep for them too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the hardest to get, it
Yeah.
sounds like.
So then, I was doing all this walking back and forth, and then there was a lady up here over at Bayview Lodge by the name of Ruth Snyder. And she says, I got talking to her, said something one day up there at the bar, and she says something about a bicycle. I says, I'm going to buy a bike. I got almost enough now. She says, how much you got? And I think I had around $15.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she says, I'll tell you what, you give me that $15 and I'll bring you up a bike. And I know the bike that she got was around $30, $35. She brought it up.
Uh-huh.
Oh, beautiful bike. Had a carrier on the back, buckhorn handlebars, just what I liked. And so then I got a box. I went up to the red and white store, and I got a box for on the back that would hold 2 1-gallon cans. This is a box that they get certain types of fruit in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the same type of box, I would take the boards off to the side, and I would shape them for a fur stretcher for my muskrat stretchers. Out of that same material. Well, anyway, I put 2 1-gallon cans in there, and I put a silk sock over the top, and I would tie it on there so when the water splashed, everything was staying. And then I used that going back and forth.
Then you didn't have to be running all the time.
I wouldn't have to walk that railroad grade and then carrying those mud minnows back.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't afraid to work, were you?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was my problem all my life. That's all I did.
Always working.
Yeah. A workaholic. I'd rather be a workaholic than a alcoholic.
Or one of those people who sit around and get bored all the time and go, what am I going to do next? Yeah, I think there are people like that too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, anyway, on that bicycle, that was the only bike I ever had. And I really kept it up. Every year I'd take the whole coaster brake all apart, all those little discs in there, wash them all up and put them all back in, new grease and all that kind of stuff. And then I gave that bike to Mike Tice, my neighbor who was there. 'Cause he's a lot, well, wasn't a real lot younger, but he didn't have a bike. And I said, Mike, I got a bike, but I says, I like it, so take care of it.
Yeah.
You can have it.
Uh-huh.
So he took it. Well, within a year, it was shot.
That's
so,
neat. So.
He just didn't take care of it.
So when you got out of the Navy, then you came right back to town.
Yeah, I was going to re-enlist, but I thought, no, I'm going to do what I did when I was a boy.
Came back and wanted to hunt and fish and.
So I re-enlisted in the inactive reserves. I could have taken the reserves, but then you got to spend about a month of the year, which would be in July,
When you wanted to be here.
to go back in. And of course, up here, July is our best month. So I just thought, well, no, I'll just enlist in the inactive reserves.
Uh-huh.
Because if something else happened, I wanted to make sure I would have the Navy rather than the Army or something.
Sure, made sense.
Because I didn't want a foxhole or anything like that to sit in.
Mm-hmm.
You know Bill Conway, one of the guys from town here, he went in the Army and he was over in Japan over there. And that's what he was in all the time. And I tell you, with his experience up here as a hunter and a trapper and stuff, he survived.
Kept him alive.
And he got medals upon medals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he would kill 15 to 20 Japanese single-handed. That's how good he was.
What's his name? Bill
Bill Conway.
Bill Conway.
Is he still living?
Yeah, I think he is. He's up in Minnesota. He belonged to our Legion post. I'm going to have to talk to Bob Crane and see if he's still a member. That way I would know whether he's still alive or not.
Uh-huh.
Was he the same age as you?
A little older. He was drafted. He went into the service, and then of course when he come home, he had malaria so bad. Oh man! It took 4 of us guys to hold him down.
Mm.
It was really. He was our neighbor for a while when we lived in Nygren's house before my mother had it moved down.
Mm-hmm.
And then he lost his wife too. She left because of his health problems and that. And then he done the smartest thing he could have done. He re-enlisted and went back in.
He did.
Yep. And then he retired out of there.
Mm-hmm. So was the economy any better here when you came back from the war then?
Well, it picked up.
Mm-hmm.
It picked up. Everybody had jobs. People were starting to build things. And then when I started on the carpenter work, I started working for Al Eschenbach first, and then, but that's when I was just a young punk. Then he gave me my W-2 form. He says, now don't forget, Chet, you go to the post office and you get money order made out for this amount, and then you send it to him. Well, I never made out the money order. I just sent it to him. And I got a nasty letter in the mail.
Sent it to the government?
Yeah.
The cash.
Yeah.
That would have gummed up the books.
I never sent him the check, see?
Uh-huh.
It was all there, what I owed him, but I never sent it to him.
That's funny.
And so I got this nasty letter, and I forgot to make out the money order. So it says I had 10 days. I went to the post office, I made out the money order, I put it in the envelope, I dropped it in the slot, I picked up our mail, I had my fine.
That fast.
Yeah, they never give me 10 days. I mean, they just sent one letter, and then they sent the other one right behind it.
What's changed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So that's when I lost all faith in in IRS. So,
But people in the town had jobs then in the 40s, then after the war. 40s.
yeah, a lot of people left here, of course, and went and got better work and more pay. Most of the people went to the cities where they can make a buck.
Yeah.
And I stayed here and just kind of sweat it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Sounds like you're
I
not.
could have went to the city and went down in 15, 20 years and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wouldn't have had to work so hard.
Yeah. Sounds like you did what you liked, though.
I enjoyed what I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you what? You did carpentry. You owned a hardware store.
Yeah, we got into there for, well, that's whenever my back first was bad. And I thought, well, I gotta get into something where
You could do it.
I can have an income.
Mm-hmm.
He repaired motors, you know,
Oh.
those complicated motors.
Yeah.
And so I decided to buy that. And of course I had to borrow the money to buy it.
Yeah.
And I got it just in time, otherwise it would have been gone, somebody else would have got it.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent all those years in there, and then it was good to us. It was especially good to Harley.
And it just closed now in the last 5-10 years.
The store?
Yeah.
Well, Sitquist had it. They bought it from us, and they had it for over 20 years.
Okay.
And then they sold it to this guy, and this guy he didn't want. Sitquist had an auction and all the stock in there, and then and then Richard Young he just wanted to go into this antique, a resale store.
Right.
So it wasn't just antiques; it was just anything that would sell,
Yeah. Be nice to still have a hardware store in town. I think.
Yes, it would have.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
And a grocery store.
Yeah.
And see, So how do you evaluate what we got left?
Yeah. I don't know.
Compared to what we had before. At one time, we had 2 grocery stores.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 2 hardware stores.
2.
Yeah. Yeah. Steve Novak up halfway up the street, he had one, and inside Graham, down where this building is now, where Richard Young is.
So that would have been 2 grocery stores and 2 hardware stores. About when would have that been? Like after you came back from the war?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, the red and white store on top of the hill, which was owned by, Harold and Madge Orms. They had a red and white in Monesco, and then they also had one here. They had a summer home on Presque Isle Lake.
Uh-huh.
And then and then Butch Merrick, he started a grocery store over where that one that burnt down.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he started out of it was a home, and then he just kind of made it into a grocery store. And it was nice for them, and he did what he liked. He was a butcher, and he chummed around with his kid a lot, his name was Benjamin. We call him Bunny.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone now too.
But yeah, you said none of the guys you went to school with.
No, it's just I've got pictures of him. I don't know
Say
about Junior Shattuck. He's ahead of me in school,
Uh-huh.
but I haven't heard of anything about him passing away. But